Namaste, this is Samta Auntie. In this video, we're going to review dining vocabulary. These are things you use pretty often, like forks, spoons, bowls, plates, and other things. And you're going to learn how to ask for these things in a polite way as well. So look at what all the words we're going to learn today. Now we're going to take it slow, so don't worry. By the end of this class, in this video, you're going to know how to say all of these. Let's start with fork, spoon, and knife. Fork is kanta, spoon, chammach, knife, chaku. One more time. Fork, kanta, spoon, chammach, knife, chaku. Now look at the picture and tell me what you see. Are these kanta, chammach, or chaku? Chammach. And what about these? Kanta, chammach, or chaku? Kanta. And what is the koala holding in his hand? He's holding a knife. And how do we say knife in Hindi? Chaku. And what about this fork? This is a Christmas fork. Is it a kanta, a chammach, or a chaku? Kanta. And what about these spoons? Are they kanta, chammach, or chaku? Chammach. And what about these knives? Kanta, chammach, or chaku? Chaku. And what about these forks? Kanta, chammach, or chaku? Kanta. And look at this fairy. She's digging really deep into her ice cream with a spoon. What's a spoon? A kanta, a chammach, or a chaku? Chammach. And look at these forks. Are they kanta, chammach, or chaku? Kanta. And look at this gaja running with a knife in his hand. What is a knife? A kanta, a chammach, or a chaku? Chaku. And look at all these spoons. What spoon again? Kanta, chammach, or chaku? Chammach. And look at these forks. Are they kanta, chammach, or chaku? Kanta. And look at the soap. The soap is ready to wash the fork and the spoon. And how do we say spoon and fork in Hindi? Spoon and fork. Well, spoon we know is chammach and fork is kanta. So we would say chammach and kanta. But how do we say and in Hindi? And is or. So now if we put it all together, it becomes chammach or kanta. Chammach or kanta, spoon and fork. All right, now look at Mr. Octopus. Mr. Octopus is holding a knife and a fork. A knife and a fork. So how do we say knife and fork in Hindi? Well, first of all, what is a knife? Is it a kanta, chammach, or chaku? A chaku, right? And what's a fork in Hindi? Is it a kanta, a chammach, or a chaku? Kanta. So now let's put it all together to say knife and fork. Knife and fork is chaku or kanta. Chaku or kanta. All right, now Mr. Koala is holding a spoon and a fork. A spoon and a fork. So, first of all, what is a spoon? A kanta, a chammach, or a chaku? Chammach. And what's a fork? A kanta, a chammach, or a chaku? Kanta. So put it together. How do we say spoon and fork? Spoon and fork. How do we say that in Hindi? Chammach or kanta. Chammach or kanta. All right. What is this baby having here? A spoon and a fork. Spoon and fork. So how do we say spoon and fork in Hindi? We just did this. What's a spoon? Is it a kanta, chammach, or chaku? A chammach. And what's a fork? Kanta, chammach, or chaku? Kanta. So put it together. How do we say spoon and fork? Chammach or kanta. Chammach or kanta. All right, good work. Now let's learn 3 new words for glass, plate, and bowl. Glass is gilas. A plate is a thali, and a bowl is a katori. All right, let's do those again. A glass is a gilas, a plate is a thali, and a bowl is a katori. All right, so same thing. Look at the picture and tell me, what do we have here? We have a bowl. Is a bowl a gilas, a thali, or a katori? A katori, right? And also, what is the katori holding? A spoon. And what did we say the Hindi word for spoon was? Chammach. And look at this lady. She has bread on her plate. What's a plate? A gilas, a thali, or a katori? A thali. And ooh, look at this juice. Yummy juice. Orange juice and grape juice, it looks like. And they're in a glass. So how do we say glass in Hindi? Is it gilas, thali, or katori? Gilas. And look at Mr. Leaf holding his soup in a bowl. What's a bowl? Gilas, thali, or katori? Katori. And look at this boy washing a plate. What was plate again? Gilas, thali, or katori? Thali. And look at these bowls. Is bowl gilas, thali, or katori? Katori. And look at Mr. Koala holding the plate. And what is plate again? Gilas, thali, or katori? Thali. And also, he's holding a knife, and we learned the Hindi word for knife. What was it? Chaku. Chaku is knife. All right, look at these glasses of water. What was glass again? Gilas, thali, or katori? Gilas. And what about all these chutneys? The chutneys are in the bowls. And how do we say bowl? Is it gilas, thali, or katori? Katori. And look at this mom and her daughter washing a plate together. What was plate? Gilas, thali, or katori? Thali. And look at Mr. Elephant eating garam garam dal. And his dal is in a bowl. And how do we say bowl again? Is it gilas, thali, or katori? Katori. And what is Mr. Elephant holding in his hand also? He has a spoon, right? We learned the Hindi word for spoon. What is spoon? Chammach. And now if we put bowl and spoon together, how do we say that? Bowl and spoon. Katori or chammach. Katori or chammach. All right, look at this little boy. He's got a bowl full of cereal, it looks like. And how do we say bowl again? Gilas, thali, or katori? Katori. And he has a bowl also. We just did this. How do we say bowl and spoon? We just did this with Mr. Elephant. Katori or chammach. Katori or chammach. All right. And ooh, look at this nice juice in the glass. How do we say glass? Gilas, thali, or katori? Gilas. And look at this bowl of hummus. What's bowl again? Gilas, thali, or katori? Katori. And look at this little girl drinking her refreshing juice from a glass. And what's glass again? Gilas, thali, or katori? Gilas. All right, now let's pretend that we've gone to a restaurant, okay? We've gone to a restaurant, and now that we know these Hindi words, we want to be able to ask for things. So the first thing we want to order is water or drink, either water, milk, chocolate milk, or fruit juice. So how do we say water in Hindi? Pani. How do we say milk in Hindi? Doodh. How do we say chocolate milk? Chocolate doodh. And how do we say apple juice? Seb ka juice. So we have pani, doodh, chocolate doodh, and seb ka juice. So now we want to very politely ask for one of these drinks. So the sentence to ask for something is, so let's pretend first we're going to ask for water, okay? क्या मुझे पानी मिल सकता है. Okay, let's try that again. क्या मुझे पानी मिल सकता है? One more time, say it with me. क्या मुझे पानी मिल सकता है? This is a very polite way to ask, may I have water? क्या मुझे पानी मिल सकता है? Okay, now what if we want दूध? क्या मुझे दूध मिल सकता है? क्या मुझे दूध मिल सकता है? So do you see this blank line? The blank line is where you put whatever you're asking for. So if you're asking for pani, you put it there. If you're asking for दूध, you put it there. If you're asking for chocolate milk, you put it there. And if you're asking for apple juice, then you put it there. So let's do chocolate milk now. क्या मुझे चॉकलेट दूध मिल सकता है? क्या मुझे चॉकलेट दूध मिल सकता है? Or now let's do apple juice. क्या मुझे सेब का जूस मिल सकता है? क्या मुझे सेब का जूस मिल सकता है? All right, now let's ask for a fork, a spoon, or a knife. क्या मुझे एक कांटा मिल सकता है? May I have one fork? क्या मुझे एक कांटा मिल सकता है? Try it again. क्या मुझे एक कांटा मिल सकता है? Now let's ask for a spoon. क्या मुझे एक चम्मच मिल सकता है? क्या मुझे एक चम्मच मिल सकता है? Now let's ask for a knife. क्या मुझे एक चाकू मिल सकता है? क्या मुझे एक चाकू मिल सकता है? Now let's ask for a glass, a plate, or a bowl. क्या मुझे एक गिलास मिल सकता है? क्या मुझे एक गिलास मिल सकता है? Now let's ask for a plate. क्या मुझे एक थाली मिल सकती है? क्या मुझे एक थाली मिल सकती है? So here, instead of saying मिल सकता, we say मिल सकती. And the reason because this word thali, see how it ends with an E sound? Thali. So that's why we say क्या मुझे एक थाली मिल सकती है. And the same thing would apply to katori, right? Because katori ends with an E sound. So for katori, we would say क्या मुझे एक कटोरी मिल सकती है. Now, you might be wondering, wait a minute. When we asked for water, water ends with an E sound, pani. So why didn't we say क्या मुझे पानी मिल सकती है? Well, that is the one exception to the rule. That means that even though pani ends with an E sound, we still do not say mil sakti. We still say mil sakta. But for doodh, chocolate doodh, and seb ka juice, we say mil sakta. For kanta, chamach, and chaku, we say mil sakta. For gilas, we say mil sakta. But for thali and katori, we say mil sakti. All right, so here we are at the restaurant, okay? And now we need to order food. So you have pizza, dosa, roti dal sabzi, samosa, and pasta. Those are your options. So if I want dosa, I would say क्या मुझे dosa मिल सकता है? If I want roti dal sabzi, क्या मुझे roti dal sabji मिल सकता है? If I want samosa, क्या मुझे samosa मिल सकता है? Pasta, क्या मुझे पास्ता मिल सकता है? Pizza, क्या मुझे पिज़्ज़ा मिल सकता है? All right, let's review these words now, okay? So, Mr. Gajar, Mr. Carrot is holding a spoon. How do we say spoon in Hindi? Chammach. The roti dal sabzi is on a plate. How do we say plate in Hindi? Thali. The orange juice is inside a glass. How do we say glass in Hindi? Gilas. This is a bowl. How do we say bowl in Hindi? With lots of vegetables inside. Katori. A bowl is a katori. Mr. Gajar, Mr. Carrot is running with a knife. How do we say knife in Hindi? Chaku. Mr. Gajar is holding a plate. How do we say plate in Hindi? Thali. And how do we say glass in Hindi again? Gilas. And the dosa and the chutneys are on a plate. What was plate again? Thali. And the chutneys are in bowls. And how do we say bowls? Katori. All right, let's review these words again for fork, spoon, and knife. What's a fork? Kanta. Spoon? Chammach. Knife? Chaku. And what's a glass? Gilas. And a plate? Thali. And a bowl? Katori. Great work! Now you know all of your words to be able to talk about your utensils and glasses and bowls. And these are things that you use pretty often, right? So now you can use this vocabulary at home. Dhanyavad for joining me. I'll see you in class.